Well, fellas, there we go. That is Alex Plox, our very own Alex Plox with Quake Zone Rumble from the greatest video game ever made, Twist Metal 2. Obviously, I don't know if that's true, but you know what? I'm going to say it anyway. How's everybody doing? Happy Friday. Welcome to October, one of the best. God damn it. Welcome to October, motherfuckers. Halloween season has begun. I do want to give you a quick heads up. There will be no ads today on the show. That is because, as you can see, I'm starting to make some changes to the Halloween decorations, and all the ads have gotten discombobulated. But I will be doing a bunch of streaming this weekend, video game streaming, and I'll put the ads in there. And the ads will also be in the podcast version of this show. But anyway, welcome to Gavin and Games for Friday, October 1st. I hope you guys are having a great day. Whatever. Let's think. Do I hope you're, well, sure. I hope you're having a great day. It's one of those things you say, have a nice day, and you got to think about it. No, I hope you're having a great day. I really do. Yes, Andy Lee, thank you. Andy Lee says that's a great pumpkin animation. That is from the great Trey Trimble, who has done all of our openings. And then this is from Octorok over here, Stabbing in Games, the little pixel dude who does all of our pixel stuff. Both of them are just fucking fantastic and wonderful contributors to the show. So, all right, we got some game news. Here's what we're doing today. Let me just give you the rundown. We're going to talk about the latest and greatest video game news. We're going to talk about, first we're going to talk pure video games, and we're going to get into a little bit of politics of video games. I don't mean like, Biden and Trump. I mean in terms of what's happening sort of in more of the challenging political landscape of games. Then we're going to get into some weird stuff. We're going to talk about people who have died playing video games, and I'm going to, as we get closer to Halloween, it's my favorite time. We're going to be talking about that more and more. And we're going to wrap it up by taking a tour of one or two of the haunted houses over at Halloween Horror Nights. And then afterwards, I will be streaming later tonight. If you don't know, the Steam Next Festival has started today. And there are over 700 game demos. And I think I will be streaming some of those tonight while I'm high as a goddamn kite. But for now, oh my God, you guys, let's start. We can't really begin, though, without saying, Jonathan Martinez, you old so-and-so, thank you so much for joining the Diet Soda Soldiers. I appreciate it. Pretty soon you will have all the animations back. But for now, sir, here you go. You just turned 18. We'll get you a birthday card. Actually, we won't get you a birthday card, but happy birthday. And there's a smoke in the pipe for you, buddy. There's some dope, baby. Have that and enjoy it. Jaffe, what's your impressions of Hot Wheels Unleashed, says Andy Lee. I adore it. When I started playing Hot Wheels the other night, I did it on stream, and I was just like, I liked it a little bit, but I didn't get the big deal. And I stuck with it because people on the stream had said, hey man, this gets better and the tracks get better. And I was playing Spazbo, and Spaz and I were racing, and we picked some really shitty tracks at the beginning, and I was falling off constantly. But over the course of about 4 or 5 hours, I just fell in love with it. I love it. It comes highly recommended. We're going to be playing it on an up-and-coming game night. I will tell you, not only is the game really cool, but the editor stuff is cool. There's the track editor, and then there's also editing the vehicles. And I have seen people are making Twisted Metal vehicles. I drove an ambulance today that was just covered with blood and body parts. I mean, they're really, really clever models out there a couple of days. So it's pretty fucking good. Love that there's a bunch of snarky turds just hanging out here, says Brett. I don't know what you're talking about, sir, but there you go. Oh, okay, so Spazbo says the track we first raced on is one of the last tracks in the game. Yeah, it's like giving somebody access to Mario Kart and saying, here's Rainbow Road before they've ever fucking played anything. Right, and that's what it was like. My thoughts on Chernobylite. I don't know what that is. Is that the new drug for COVID? What is that? Hit me back, Mona, with an answer. In the meantime, let's talk about what may very well be the beginning rumblings of PlayStation's answer to Game Pass. It may not, but it is an interesting story regardless, and I think it's good. I think it's a good fucking move on the part of Sony. And this isn't the first time they've played around with this, but it is the first time they've done it for free, and they've also done it without making you a PS Plus member. So the news broke today that people were starting to get emails. Hang on, my screen's a little off there. People were starting to get emails from Sony saying we're introducing game trials, and they're only doing it with 2 right now. Death Stranding Director's Cut, which I wish I would have known before I fucking paid, $70 for it, and Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which is a great game. Now, these are free. You don't have to pay a goddamn dime, is my understanding. If you're in on this endeavor, and I don't know how you get an email. I haven't checked my email. Maybe I haven't gotten one. It says, have you ever wanted to try some of the most popular games from PlayStation Studios before committing? Well, now you can. Get a taste of Death Stranding Director's Cut and Sackboy: Big Adventure until October 28th. Head over to PS Store and download your chosen game trial. Once you hit download, this is a little weird. The timer starts. You only get the games for 6 hours for Death Stranding and 5 hours for Sackboy. I understand why they're different games have different limits. It's kind of weird, though, that limit is baked into when you start the download. So if you start the download, once you hit download, you'll get a limited amount of time to play the game, whether you play it or not. Once the time is up, you'll need to purchase the full game. So I don't even think it's like you download it and then you can't let it sit on your hard drive for 2 weeks. You have to play it right away. Pedro says, yeah, time demos. What does this have to do with Game Pass? It has everything to do with possibly competing with Game Pass, in the sense that so what are they doing this for, right? If you guys remember way back in the day, PlayStation Network had rentals, which I always thought was smart. But it never really made any sense to me why it didn't catch on, but you were able to spend like $4 to rent a game. Now, I don't think they were the new games. Maybe that was why, but who knows? And I agree with some of you guys in the chat. It's like, yeah, if you have shitty internet, this isn't for you. And my guess is this is probably not going to be, they're probably testing a number of things. This is obviously a pilot program. This is not ready for prime time yet. That's why it's not available for everyone. My guess is this is going to be something that's going to be tied to PS Plus, PS Now, something like that. But right now they're just maybe trying to see what people do, how they respond to it. But as for how it's a response to Game Pass, I mean, you're talking about first-party games. You're basically giving players who do find value in Game Pass, which is the ability to play these brand new games from first party day one. You're giving them that ability. I mean, Death Stranding obviously is the closest we got to day one. That just came out last week. You're giving them that ability, but it's obviously, it's neutered a bit. It's truncated a bit. They're kind of saying, look, it allows them to kind of keep the logic that says if you're going to buy it, you're going to have to buy it anyway. But we're going to give you a little bit of what you like about Game Pass, and we're trying to kind of split the difference. I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it might be a bad idea for them. I think Death Stranding is one of those games that people say doesn't really get good for a while. I think this is, I had a video about this recently, and some people were kind of annoyed with me about it, but I'm sorry I was right, and I'm still right about this, which is the completion rate on subservice games tends to be lower than if you purchase a game, because the motivation isn't there to keep playing if you don't have any financial investment. So the only thing that keeps you playing is it really good? Is it really compelling? So with Sackboy, which I think is a great game, I wonder, though, if somebody said, okay, you've played for 4.5 hours, Jaffe, because let's say it took me 30 minutes to download and it's a 5-hour limit, I wonder if I would just go, I'm good. It's like, give us $60 now. I'm like, I'm good. Right? I think there's a real danger in not seeing a conversion to people who purchase, but that would be my only concern. There, JB says meh. What do you mean meh? I will never understand gamers. How is this meh? Let's assume for the moment this becomes the way they do things. Let's assume for the moment a day, a week, the same day, a first-party game comes out. And let's say the first-party game is Spider-Man 2. Well, fucking play it for free for 4 or 5 hours. If you love it, buy it. If you don't. How is that meh? How is that not the most consumer-friendly thing you've ever heard of in your goddamn life? I don't understand gamers. I don't understand them. Zach says, Death Stranding, thank you for being a member for 5 months, Zach. I appreciate it, buddy. He says, Death Stranding is one of my favorite games of all time. The reason some knock it as boring is the very reason I find it engaging. I hope it clicks. Yeah, I bought it. I have the director's cut. I will be playing it because Ricardo Estevez, one of our very generous and longtime members, has gave it his game of the year. He's a reporter, and he's just like, dude, you have to fucking play this thing. So, yeah, Star-Lord says there's no downside to this at all. I don't understand. They're probably just trying to get people to engage in the $70 game, says Pedro. Most don't take the leap because of doubts, right? But isn't that great? Isn't that fantastic? I mean, how do we not go? And so, yes, it's not Gamepass, but it allows a bit of the Game Pass. It allows Sony to scratch the Game Pass itch a little bit, especially if they say, look, PS Now, PS Plus, and game trials all in one for the whatever the prices they charge for it, which means every single first-party game you're going to get 4 or 5 hours to 6 hours of gameplay time. Come on, man. Star-Lord says it's better than buying a full-price game, not liking it, and not being able to get a refund. Absolutely. 150%. I haven't gone back to Deathloop, not because I don't like it, just because I've so many other games, but it's like, yeah, it's like, why in the fuck can't, I think what it is some gamers are just afraid of change. Anything that's outside of what they're used to, they just don't like it. They just want nothing to do with it. Hoodrich902, thank you, buddy. He just joined the Diet Soda Soldiers. He, of course, gets to smoke in the bubbly. That doesn't make sense. You don't smoke the bubbly, but you do in my world, sir. There you go. Have some dope and some champagne on me, sir. Welcome, Hoodrich, to the Diet Soda Soldiers. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. I appreciate you being part of our little community of fucksticks. Thank you. Dylan in the details. Been here for 4 months. He says, Jaffe, time flies. It sure does, sir. It's not meh. It is not meh. This is a good thing. You guys know, right? I mean, you guys fucking know that this is, I praise and I attack when I hear news. This is good for Sony. This is a good idea. Jaffe, this has happened before. If you had PS Plus, it came with trials. I understand that. But it hasn't happened in a while, and it hasn't happened, if I recall, since Game Pass came on the scene, has it? Like remember they started with rentals, but PS Plus had trials, but I don't remember, Hoodrich, if PS Plus had trials of brand new games. Sackboy would fit, but Death Stranding Director's Cut? Are you telling me I don't remember this? The PS Plus had trials of games that you could download that were out day one? And by the way, this, so you know, is not currently for PS Plus members. This is for anyone who gets the email. And a lot of people are getting the email that are not PS Plus. So they're testing something out. Brian E. says it's a new concept from Sony. If it benefits, it'll take off. They'll add more games. Right, of course. The best part of not using your real name means any one of us could be the new Twisted Metal director, says Peapod. Fuck you, motherfucker. I would love to talk to you. I would love to fucking talk to you. And see what your plans are. But yeah, so anyway, there you go. We'll see where this goes. Hello, Rathy. I have not gotten the email yet. The real question is that I'm sure this will change. Maybe it's because of the trial, but it is really weird that the timer starts the minute you hit download. It's also a little bit weird that the timer starts instantly without waiting for you to hit play. Like on a movie, you can download it and you have it for 30 days. This is like you download it and it immediately starts. And if you download it at 2 a.m, you wake up and it's gone. That's a little fucking weird. That's a little weird. Pedro says you should make it streamable. I think they should have that as an option. I think that would be great. I wouldn't make it only streamable because streaming, as much as I have success with it with my internet, a lot of people don't. I think this would kind of kill whatever they're trying to test with this. And let me ask you real quick, and we'll move on. Some of you guys are saying this isn't a Game Pass killer. Well, okay, then why would they be doing it then, right? This is not an initiative they're rolling out. This is clearly something that they are testing and wanting to see if it's going to be a go or not. Why do this then? If this is not like them going, like, what is Sony's next first-party game that's coming out? Is it Gran Turismo is in February or something? I mean, I don't know about you, but if Gran Turismo came out and as part of PS Plus, or if I had to pay an extra $4 a month for PS Plus, and it meant I could play these games, and they could maybe even have third-party games and shit, I'd be down with that. I'd totally be down with that. Brian says this is a Game Pass Pro counter, not a killer. Well, yeah, but when you're in business and you're countering, you're trying to kill. Then you're just getting into semantics. I mean, it's basically, let's put it this way. Can we agree, Brian East, that it is a response to Game Pass? Whether you call it a killer or a counter, who knows? Who played the time demo of Resident Evil Village? I think people liked it, says Jojo D. I mean, nobody likes a time demo. They suck. But this doesn't really feel like it's a demo. This doesn't cost the developer anything to really put together. They don't have to create anything. Hang on. Let me say hello. I'm streaming. Can I call you back?
Yep.
You want to say hi?
No.
No.
I'm going to go to Ralph,
Sorry.
so...
Oh, are you making that cake for Calvin?
Yep.
Okay. All right, I'll call you when I'm done.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. I don't think Sony can sustain a Game Pass model, says Rathy. Microsoft can make a loss for a decade and still be in profit. Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. This might be what they need, because I can tell you, for me, this is really appealing. I like this idea, and this couldn't be more customer friendly. I mean, this is dangerous for them. I bet they're not going to get high conversion. They'll probably get higher conversion with Sackboy than with Death Stranding. I think Death Stranding is a really interesting, like, whenever we would do these kind of A/B testing at Sony, and when I was other companies working for Sony or with a contract with Sony, we would, there would be a reason. Like, there's a reason Sackboy and Death Stranding were chosen. Like, they're trying to suss out some data from people, and these two titles they feel will get them that data that makes the most sense. Death Stranding, obviously, is probably a big part of it is it's new, but I also look at, it's not a very easy entry level for people. So, but so I could see people not converting with Death Stranding, but I hope that doesn't turn that into this isn't working. Hoodrich says it is a response to Game Pass, but this has been done in the past and they're bringing it back and it didn't cost extra. Well, again, Hoodrich, can you tell me what games they did it with? Like, were they first party games that had just come out that week? That's what I'm trying to kind of figure out. Horizon Forbidden West, right? If Horizon Forbidden West is their next game coming out, thank you for that, Pedro. That comes out, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm not going to buy it until I fucking play it. Why would I do that? Kyle's on fire. Thank you, sir. He says if someone only has 4 hours, they'll probably put in as much time as they can in that time out of fear of missing out. Then after committing 4 hours, if they like it, buy it. Right. I mean, I think there is that's got to be the thinking. That's got to be the plan. But, we will see. Did anybody get this email who's in the chat right now? Because I checked before we went live and I did not. Jaffe says, Andy, did you see the news about Oxenfree developer being bought by Netflix? Yeah, I did. I think, again, I made a video the other day that I'm not going to try to sell people on sub-services. I'm only going to bring it up when there's news, and there's news here. But yeah, I made a video about that. I think it's I don't really care for Oxenfree, but it's just not my kind of game. Darth Nugget says this might not convert users, but they'll still probably get sales they wouldn't have otherwise. I can see that. That's a good idea, Andreas. If at the end I get a 20% discount for the game, that sweetens the deal. That's a really good idea. Hoodrich says this was on PS3. They had 60-minute game demos. Right, but Hoodrich, am I missing your chat? What games were they? Was it day one? Was it week one? That's all I'm trying to figure out, because I know, like I said, they've had rentals, and I know they've had trials, but I recall it being more like it's PS3 and this is Tokyo Jungle. And Tokyo Jungle came out a year ago. Was this like day one? Maybe this factors into Sony's plan, says Peapod, to make long AAA games so they can demo the first 6 hours without giving away too much. Probably not. Probably not. I mean, it's an interesting theory, but they're not gonna. I mean that because ultimately, then at that point, if you're building your whole business model around long games that convert in the first 6 hours, you have to front load the fuck out of 6 hours, and making 6 hours super fucking compelling is expensive and hard as fuck. And so I can't imagine they're going to bet the farm on the theory that they're going to get all game developers to make the first 6 hours brilliant. Hoodrich says, I played a game trial for Far Cry, but it wasn't day one, says Rathy. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you guys. Aaron, welcome to the Diet Soda Soldiers. Aaron Kaminsky of the Philadelphia Kaminskys. You're the family with that great Christmas display, right? Where Santa comes down the chimney and then fucks Mrs. Claus. I love that. Kaminsky, you're good people. Here, have a smoke at the pipe, buddy. Thank you so much for being part of our Diet Soda Soldier community. Smoke that dope, baby. Smoke it, take it in good. Take it into your lungs and feel like a goddamn king that you are, sir. Aaron Kaminsky. Thank you, sir. Kills on Fire says, encourages impulse buys too. If I'm halfway through a very good Returnal run, Lord knows I'd cave. That's interesting. You're goddamn right. Yeah, if you can't fucking save it, because you can't with Returnal. But even if you can't, I mean, that's some fucking tricksy manipulation, but it's not a bad idea. It's not a goddamn bad idea. Where it's just like not even Returnal. If you're like 6 hours into a game, although I think it does say if you buy the game, your saves will transfer. But I think that if you don't buy the game, then you have to start all over again if you buy it later. So I think it's I agree. That's certainly going to be a sweetener to it for sure. Okay, game trials will only increase sales, says Zach. The player looking forward to Uncharted 5 is already buying it. This is for players that play Call of Duty and Madden. Right. But okay. I mean, yes, Zach, you're right in the sense that if you assume, okay, there's the people who are already going to buy it. Let's scratch them off the list. Go with God to those people. They keep a lot of the business going, at least in the front end. But then you've got two types of people. I'm probably never going to buy it, or I'm thinking about buying it, right? Then the real question is, are you willing to risk those people converting on their own or through word of mouth? Like I converted through word of mouth on Death Stranding. I never bought it before. But I have an 80% assumption that I'm not going to like it, and I wouldn't convert if I played it for 6 hours. So I guess it's a risk of how players are going to respond, which is probably why they're doing the fucking test, Jaffe. Jaffe, isn't creating a playable demo taxing? Yes, but that's not what this is. So this is this is basically, I don't even imagine the developers have to do anything except maybe plug in kind of a meta to track the time, but that's probably happening on the back end on the Sony server side. So my guess is they probably have nothing to do with it. But these are not demos. These are like, you better, I mean, seriously, I mean, let's say this takes off. We're going to move on, I promise. But let's say this takes off. If this takes off, and let's say Gamepass takes off, again, I know this is going to be so great for game design, right? Because at that point, game developers are going to be forced to make sure that their openings, and not just their openings, but their kind of their whole initial loop for the first handful of hours, that it's like no more of this, where you got to wait for 12 hours before it gets good. It's like, no, it's going to force game developers to do what musicians have to do, authors have to do, filmmakers, television creators have to do, which is you've got to catch your audience and hook them almost immediately, or they're going to move on to something else. I think that's fucking fantastic. It makes games better. Darth Nugget says this might be a better alternative to Steam's return policy. I'm sure they refund tons of people, whereas Sony won't even. I mean, that's a good point. That's a great point. I hate Sony's return policy. That's one of the reasons I still buy a lot on Steam. Game Pass isn't going anywhere by the sounds of it, says Brian King. Yeah, I mean, that's they're putting all their eggs in that basket. So, okay, I just looked it up, says Star-Lord. Death Stranding speed run is under 4 hours, so technically you could probably beat it. Yeah, but, you know, probably have to have some experience with it first. But there's a multiplayer game that just came out for console called Insurgency Sandstorm, says Eddie C. It's very good, and I'm afraid it will be overshadowed by Call of Duty and Battlefield. This feature would help it a lot. Oh, my God, absolutely. All those games... Even if you're just sitting around going, you know, I got nothing new to play, you're going to try shit. I think it's great. I love it. I hope it takes off. We'll see what happens. Let's move on and talk a little bit about Big Bad God of War, shall we? I only want to talk about this story. Hang on a sec. I only want to talk about this story. Well, for one reason. I mean, the core story is Chris Judge, the actor who plays Kratos in the new God of Wars, says it was delayed because of him. According to the actor voicing Kratos and also the performance capture, it was delayed, I think, because he had he had to have knee implants and he threw his back out or blah, blah, blah. Is that true? Is it not? Who the fuck? Probably. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure that played a part. The two things that strike me as interesting about this story, though, are one of them that's interesting to me is this idea that if you're rushing to make production, like for some reasons, like I know I have no inside dirt, and if I did, I wouldn't share it. But something strikes me as weird about that narrative. It kind of reminds me when Amy Hennig said back in the day when she worked for Sony, we'll never make another Uncharted without Nolan North, and that just always struck me as very performative, because it's like, sure you will. If the deal on the table doesn't make sense, trust me, sure you will. The brand is more powerful than Nolan North, okay? In this case, it's not that I don't think they would bend over backwards to keep Chris Judge happy. Sure they would. But it is a little, especially that it's performance capture, it's like he could still do the voiceover, right? But if, let's say there's 3 weeks where he's out or a month when he's out and you can't reschedule his shots, then get a fucking body double. I mean, do you really think the player is going to be... It's just one of those things that it just feels, if it is absolutely accurate, it feels kind of dumb. Again, I don't know if it's true, but it just feels like, what, you couldn't get a big dude to go in there and just, you know, knock out a bunch of the fucking shots? Hell, Harrison Ford threw his fucking shoulder out for Indiana Jones. They're still filming. But they paused now, but they were filming for a while when he was out. They literally got a real fancy top of the line face mask and put it on a stunt guy and got as many shots as they could. So that's a little weird. That's a little weird for me, but I'm sure there's truth to it. It might be an actor thing, Jaffe says, Brian. Sometimes you need to be in the place to do the proper voice. No. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that that's not something an actor would say, and I'm not saying that probably wouldn't give the best performance if the actor feels that way. But you know, this is business. This is a $200+ million game probably. I don't think they're going to sit there and go, look, I know Yumi Yang, and I know some of the producers on that title. I can't imagine they said, oh, Chris Judge is out for 6 weeks. Well, what can we shoot without him? And what can we do where he's just the voice? There's something that's weird. I have no data. I'm just saying from my experience, something feels a little off about this story. It doesn't totally feel 100% authentic. I'm not saying the guy's lying. Of course, he had knee implants and a back problem and all that shit. I'm just saying something feels a little weird. The other thing that just is annoying is the fan response. Because I had kind of forgotten about this, but this guy, the Lig X, writes on the comments to the story, a whole bunch of fucking idiots owe Alana Pierce an apology that they will never give. So, do you guys remember this, where Alana Pierce was blamed? She had just started working at Sony Santa Monica, and she was blamed for, people were literally blaming her for the reason God of War Ragnarok had been delayed. First off, I don't even think it's announced if that woman's working on Ragnarok or some other game, but let's assume it has been announced and I missed it, okay? So they're working on Ragnarok, and you've got a junior writer It's not like Corey got hit by a bus and has to recover. It's a brand new junior writer. And I don't mean junior dismissively. I believe when she broke the news that she's working on God of War, she called it that, right? So I'm like, what moron would assume that a junior writer or a writer at all on a title like this would be able to cause a delay? It's just, it's fucking moronic. Brian E. says she's not working on Ragnarok. Pretty sure she's on the new IP. Right, I mean, that could be it as well. I can read the headlines now, says Jojo D. Former God of War director finds Christopher Judge's statement a little weird. It is a little weird. It's a little weird. I'm not saying it is weird. It just comes off. Well, I am saying it's weird. I'm not saying it's a lie. I'm saying it comes off as a little suspicious. It's a little suspicious. Darth Nugget says she only said she didn't work on the trailer, but didn't say she wasn't working on the game. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck she's working on. But I can tell you that I'm stunned that she got death threats at all, let alone because she's a writer and the game was delayed. Afrali says it's damage control for those that may be upset about the delay. But now wait a minute. That's interesting because there was the original delay that we heard about a while ago. But there's not a new delay. They haven't even announced the date, right? So Judge says, in my fields right now, I need to be forthcoming. This has been approved by no one. To the beloved fandom, Ragnarok was delayed because of me. August 2019, I couldn't walk. I had to have back surgery, both hips replaced, and knee surgery. It's the Bionic Man. They waited for me to rehab. Really? They waited. The $200 million production waited for... something's not right. Something's not sitting right about this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Christopher Judge is not a man worth waiting for at all, let alone in this role. I'm not suggesting that at all. But the idea that it's like we can't move forward or we're going, maybe they were like, here's what probably happened. It was probably them sitting down and going, well, we were going to ask for a push anyway. We can't get all this done. If we wait 4 months for Chris, that's going to allow us to hire these 3 more people we've been looking for and get a little bit more of the design done, blah, 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 blah. But I just, something's not totally clean about this. It's the internet, says Mr. K. I got death threats for saying society is safer and healthier than ever, which is a statistical fact. That's true. I literally got death threats. That's crazy. Jaffe says, Eddie C., what would you have done if TC Carson came out and said the game was delayed because he was sick or injured? Thanks for taking the fall, or why would you do that? You mean the one I was working? Well, okay, so when I was working with TC, which I never did, I worked with Alex Stein, who was the director of the voice actors. No one knew what the fuck it was, I would prefer, here's what I would do. If I sat in a meeting with Sony in Santa Monica and we felt tactically, strategically, public relations-wise, it made sense to sell this narrative, whether it's totally true, not true at all, or somewhat true, then I would sell the narrative because I would do what's best for the game, just like I lied to you guys and said we weren't making Twisted Metal. That's okay. But in that case, I'm just telling you, though, because I'm not at the moment employed to sell you the narrative of the spin of the PR. I'm telling you that this feels a little weird. Doesn't mean it is. I don't know. It just feels a little weird. Ratchet, thank you, sir. He says if it's rehab, he will have been out for months. Right. So think about that. You're going to delay God of War. Let's say it was months. Let's say, because that's a lot of work, right? Back surgery, both hips replaced, and knee surgery. Then you got to rehab that shit to a point that you can be a physical actor again. What are we talking? 6 months? You're going to delay the whole game for 6 months because of that? I don't think so. I think you're going to get a new voice actor, or you're going to get Chris Judge to be the voice actor, and you're going to hire a body double, and maybe you'll have Chris Judge on the set giving him physical direction, but there's no goddamn way. There's no goddamn way. Drive-by Joe, thank you, buddy. He says, so he's the reason we have the same boat animation. I don't know if that's true. Probably not. But anyway, there's the story. There's the story. I want to make. Here's Corey Barlog saying to Chris Judge, responding, I would walk through 1,000 fires for you, my friend. I would like to make a new reality show called Hyperbole. Hyperbole, horseshit, or truth. And you go out and you find people who say things like this, and we literally set 1,000 fires. And it's like, Corey, if you walk through these fucking fires, we will pay you $20 million. I'm just saying. Do we have China bots in the house? Is that why they're members only? No. I just wanted to try something different today. Well, Star-Lord God of War Ragnarok was delayed once, but then the fact that they said they haven't given it a release date, and everybody expected it Q1 of 2022, and it clearly isn't. I think there's a great deal of it probably was delayed internally, but they never gave numbers or dates, so we don't know about it. So would I do an interview with TC Carson on my channel? I think so, yeah. I'm actually looking into that. Joe D, you're right. I don't think people stopped working at Santa Monica because Chris Judge had surgery. No, I don't think the whole production shut down. But did it shut down enough that it was delayed? Come on. I mean, it's possible. It's possible that they made the case to the powers that be, but that's an interesting story. All right, let's move on. I just want to talk briefly about this. I'm stunned and staggered, and I want to talk about it. Member flex, bitch, says Avarelli. Avarelli, just for the flex, you get a little smoke of the dope. There you go, buddy. There's some dope for you, sir. Take it in, baby. Sounds like a new season of The Tester. That's exactly right. Okay. Yeah, everybody, I'm just going to start. Yeah. Star-Lord says they should have just blamed COVID like every other company. I'm just going to start taking the Chris Judge excuse. Why are you late for picking up the kids from school? It's Chris Judge, man. I broke my hip or some such shit. I had to delay it. Okay, listen to me. I don't have a solve for this, and it may not even need to be solved. It's just interesting to me. So, and it's less about this story, but this story is what got me thinking. So remember Second Extinction? Second Extinction has been in early access on Steam for quite a while. It was a day one drop when it came out on Xbox Game Pass, and it's basically Left 4 Dead with dinosaurs, okay? And I thought when I heard about it, I was just like, this is fucking, what a great idea. Left 4 Dead, but instead of zombies, it's dinosaurs. And we played it a little bit on game night. It was good. It clearly wasn't enough to bring us back. You know, none of us were like, let's play Second Extinction some more. So I kind of forgot about it. And then today there's news that they're dropping like a bunch of new stuff for it, modes and weapons or what have you, right? And it did just get me thinking. I mean, and then also today's also the same day. I'll get those super chats in a second. It's also the same day where I realized that Steam Next Fest is starting, right? And so I was going through and I downloaded like 20 games that I will be playing this weekend. I may very well play tonight. Including, yes, the new Postal first person, not the original, not the No Regrets or whatever it's called. But as you go through it, you realize like these are all demos for games that are upcoming, right? And it's over 700. Like you just go and go and go. And if you're watching and you're not, if you're listening and you're not watching, just trust me when I tell you that looks cool. It is just constant. It is a constant fucking, waterfall of new games, right? It's really fun. If you have a PC, I highly recommend it. This is like, I've said this many times before, this is like the digital version of going to E3 back when E3 was new, and everything, you didn't know what you were going to see whenever you walked around the show. What's that? That looks like a car action shooter battle royale? What? Getting that. Paradise. Okay, hang on. Hey Siri, remind me in 92 minutes to get Paradise. But anyway, I'm looking at all of this and I'm just going, I mean, I don't know how this industry is going to be able to sustain at any level. I don't just mean the level of AAA, like when you hear Sean Layden talking. I just look at the amount of content that is competing for people's time. And I don't understand how 95% of these developers aren't going to just, fade away. Oh, there's I want that. There's so much I want. So, and I don't even know if it's an issue of because people say, oh, well, see, that's the thing. It's just going to cheapen games and stuff. It's just like anything else, though. The easier something gets to make, the more you have of it. And it does become harder to stand out. I mean, I think you see it with music. You see it with every other medium. But, do they have Terabane? I have no idea. But anyway, I was stunned because I thought about this and I thought about the second Extinction. I don't know, man. I mean, it's almost to the point now, and you look at like all the Roblox shit that's happening and people making their own games and shit. And it's just like, you look at it and you go, why, other than just as a hobby, and maybe if you take off, like it's almost like you would say to somebody now, if you want to go into video games and be like a creative force, you have the same, it's probably not accurate, but you have a similar chance as you do making it big in film as an actor or a director as a movie or whatever. Right? Because there's too much to play. Like, how can you even compete when I remember we put out Twisted Metal and Warhawk on the same day in October of 95, and it was competing with maybe 4 other games that you could buy or 5 other games that you could buy. Whoever has the most day one or high paying customers will be the only one standing in the end, says Brian King. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying the industry will collapse. I'm sure there will be winners, but there's going to be a lot of fucking losers. It's kind of, I mean, I don't complain because I get to benefit as a player, but like, just look at some of this. Like, Tail Quest Defense. Clearly a little bit of money was spent on this. It looks nice, got a nice logo. Clearly it's made by more than one person, I assume. How's this going to do well? Tail Quest Defense is a unique mix of tower defense and 3D puzzle platformer. Help defend a vivid world from an invasion of colorful robots. I mean, I'm sure it might be great, but it looks very generic. Been there, done that. I just don't understand how this. I don't get it sustainable. I don't get it. You see it with many sexy time movies too, says Mutant Mo. In terms of what, like porn movies? There's just so many of the goddamn things. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Okay. Reminder, Halo Infinite is coming. It's actually active right now, but they're doing the big maps this weekend. I played it with Spazbo and a few others last weekend. I'm not a huge Halo nerd. I thought it was fantastic. I had a great time. I was terrible at it, but it was a lot of fun. And that was small maps and small skirmishes. This weekend they are doing the large maps that include the vehicles. I got to play with some of the vehicles over the week, and they drive really cool. I don't know Halo. It was like the Warthog, and it was like the little one-man motorbike was really cool. But this weekend, here are your times right here if you're interested. Everybody can get in now if you have a PC or an Xbox One S or X. I don't know about One. But so you don't have to have an invite like before. You can just go sign up and get in. We will be playing. We will be streaming. If you're into this or you're curious, I highly recommend checking it out. Let's move on to talk about some politics and video games briefly, shall we? Sure, why not, pal? All right, good. I appreciate that. We are going to talk about the Chinese folks. Speaking of Chinese bots, now this story is only new in the sense that there's more details. We've known about this. This is the same thing where China came out and said, we're going to limit playtime to kids to only weekends for 2 hours. We don't want effeminate people in our games, blah, blah, blah. That's we know. Hey, let me get back to this story. Hang on. I want to get this super chat real quick before I forget it. I appreciate it, John Doe. Thank you so much. He says, how close are you and Corey when you guys were working together? You know what, man? I mean, not close. We weren't enemies or anything, but I other than a few people, I guess, and I'm not going to name them because people might feel left out, but other than a handful of people, most people on the God of War team, I had a very, it's not cold is not the right word, but we weren't like, we didn't go out to lunch together, right? And some of that is the job. I've often said that being a game director is probably the loneliest job on a team, or being in any kind of creative authority position, because if you really want to do that job well, you have to get real comfortable disappointing people. And a lot of times going out to lunch with your colleagues is bitching about the people at work who are telling you shit to do that you don't agree with. So Corey, when he was on God of War, we were always friendly and I liked him very much. And I respected the crap out of him and his abilities, but I wouldn't say we ever went to the movies together or anything. And then by the time God of War 2 rolled around, it was professional ranking. That would be the way I would suggest it. Now there were people on the team I was very close to, but not the vast majority of them. Okay. In the Israeli army, we call it distance, like a commander maintains distance from his soldiers. Yeah, I mean, in my case, it wasn't conscious. It just kind of, that's how I was treated and I treated others, and that was the ramifications. And I was fine with it because I've known a number of games that have fallen apart where the leads want to be pals with everybody and liked, and that shit never works. I've told this story before, but Shannon relayed to me that when we first gave Corey the position on God of War 2, he first came to Shannon, who was the producer, and said, I'm going to do it different. Jaffe was great, but Jaffe kind of, kept everyone at arm's distance, and he had a very specific thing that he wanted, and I do too, but I'm going to be more of an inclusive team guy. And she's like, okay. And then apparently, according to Shannon anyway, he came back to her about a month later and said, okay, I get it now. You can't do that. Like, you can't be a creative director, and it doesn't mean you can't be nice. I think Corey was always more liked at the studio than I was because he's just a more affable guy. But you can't be that kind of guy and still do the job well. I don't think. But, maybe if Sony PR ever lets Corey come on, we'll have that conversation. Okay, let's go back to China. But thank you for the question, buddy. I appreciate it. Chinese regulators warn devs over depictions of morality, gender, and history. So again, this is where we're getting a little bit more specifics. This is from the old Gama Sutra called Game Developer Now, from Chris Kerr. This is where we're getting some more specifics about it. I just want to read you some of the actual quotes from this thing. It's a memo, a leaked memo from an internal training course that China's state-backed game association put developers through, okay? And it gives them their set of values that you need to follow, okay? The memo reminds developers that games are no longer being viewed as pure entertainment, and as such must provide what the state views as an accurate depiction of China's history and culture. Okay. Any titles seen to be encouraging violence, gambling, or superstition are unlikely to be approved, while regulators have also issued rigid guidance when it comes to how moral choices and gender are presented. Some games, this is quote, some games have blurred moral boundaries. Players can choose to be good or evil, but we don't think games should give players this choice, says the memo, and this must be altered. If regulators can't tell the character's gender immediately, the setting of the characters could be considered problematic and red flags will be raised, it continues. And it goes on a little bit more. It talks about, restrictions and things like that. So what's interesting about this is that we've seen, look, I don't care what the fuck they do in China. I mean, I do when it comes to things like, the Uyghurs and stuff, but look, it's your country, do with it what you want. But the idea, though, that we have become so beholden to China in movies and TV and now video games, I would just hate to see, in order to make our games go in China, we're getting censored as well in America. It's like, well, we were going to do this really horror supernatural game, but that's not going to fly in China, right? Or, oh, we were going to do this game where, it's a new Star Wars game where you can be darker or light Jedi. Nah, we're not going to do that either. I don't know, man. All we've seen so far from video games publishers, other than the brave ones at what are they called? Who put out Detention and Devotion, Red Table Games, I think. They said, "Fuck it, we'll put it out on our own." But other than them, you've seen a lot of these companies, bow down to the People's Republic of China and give them what they want. So I don't know, man, but people don't really seem to care. I care, but here's how I know. That's the wrong story. We'll get back to that in a minute. This is a news story that came out a couple days ago. Activision Blizzard strikes an $18 million settlement deal over its workplace harassment. I want you to think about this. I had to double check this because this was not one of the smaller lawsuits. This was the thing that made huge news about a month ago, where the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission had been investigating the sexual harassment and the toxicity and the, I think they called it like frat bro culture or whatever at Activision Blizzard for 3 years. And they had 3 years to get their ship in order. And finally, California said, fuck it, we're going to sue you. Or we're going to take you to court because you're not listening, you're not making any changes that we feel are worth making. Okay? So somehow Activision Blizzard agreed to settle with them for $18 million. This is the same company, not to beat a dead horse, but I've never heard such a story, where a poor woman took her own life. One of the reasons cited is because she was so humiliated and bullied because someone at Activision or Blizzard had taken a picture of her vagina and sent it around a company Christmas party. Okay? That's this company. Okay? I don't understand. I guess I do. I guess it's just money. Just like China. It's like, I'm sure I'll be back here in a month and a half when I hear, we already see the news that Blizzard is going through making all these changes to posters in World of Warcraft and whatnot, and some of the cards in Hearthstone, so they're not offensive. Now, a lot of people had assumed that was because of sort of SJW stuff in here in America, but I'm starting to wonder. So, it wouldn't surprise me if this is, simply another example of a company like Activision just sort of acquiescing to China. Joe says, yeah, this is just the government, not civil. They did file a civil lawsuit. That's right. But the problem with the civil lawsuit is the civil lawsuit may very well hit them in the pocketbook. Right. And the FEC, who is it? It's the FEC, right? It does stocks. They're suing them because they're saying, we think you guys knew about it. They're the ones that subpoenaed Bobby Kotick, the CEO, and said, we think you guys knew about it. And in knowing about it, you were obligated to let your investors know so they could know what might be coming down the road before they invest their money. And that's a lawsuit that potentially, if it's a federal lawsuit, could end up putting people, there's actual jail time for that possibly. But this one, Joe, to the government though, my question to you then is, because yes, it says earlier the same day, the agency filed a civil rights lawsuit against the company in federal court in California. But why would you settle this for $18 million? I mean, Activision has said, we're going to take that $18 million and we're going to compensate eligible employees who were harassed. And just like, you know what? If these companies don't get punished, it's never going to change. Now, the law may say, it's not my job to punish these companies. My job is to make sure people follow the law. And if they don't, then you punish them for that. So who knows? Maybe they're looking at it and just going, I don't know. I'm sorry. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire, and there's a lot of smoke at Activision Blizzard over the years. And it just seems like here they are again, being able to pay their way out of trouble. And I don't know, man. There's going to come a point where people just say enough. I have questions. Let's talk about Grand Theft Auto. Let's talk about, this is interesting to me. So I am, as Mr. K will tell you, a proud progressive. I'm the most progressive person you know. So obviously I'm, a supporter of, everyone, and certainly a supporter of LGBT rights and all that. And so I understand where this company out making games is coming from. They're calling on Rockstar to remove the transphobia and anti-LGBT stuff from Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, I didn't play Grand Theft Auto 5 enough to notice it, but apparently there are a number of things that happen in that game where if you talk to NPCs and cutscenes and things like that, that a lot of the trans community is just like, what the fuck? This is like hating on trans people game. And so they're saying, hey, you should change this for your re-release, right? And I am curious about that. I'm curious about, like, the way a lot of movie companies solve it is like they say at the beginning, it's like, hey, this game represents a product of its time, and we're putting it out as created but we don't necessarily stand by everything that's in it at a conceptual level, but we wanted you to have the unaltered version. Or because it's so easy, does it make sense to just change it? Just to remove those lines and put in some other lines. GTA says Brian has always had a lot of satire attached. Yeah, I know. And I don't know, to be fair, what they're referring to here, but assuming that it's not satire, assuming that it's clearly sort of, bullying or clearly just being cruel, again, I mean, I don't know. That's not satire. Trying to alter it, Brian says, is just like trying to alter a comedian's stand-up routine. Well, yeah, but if the person who's paying the stand-up is the one who's making the alterations, all they're saying is, we want you to change it. It's up to Rockstar. Rockstar's not legally obligated to change it. But if Rockstar steps in and says it's good business and or we just believe in the fact that we should change it, I don't think that's, comedian stand-up routine, I think is very different, because usually they're not like hired by someone to do their thing, except the Comedy Store. I guess the Comedy Store could say, you can't be here with those kinds of jokes. I don't know. Song of the South. I did see Song of the South with my parents or my dad and my brother when I was a kid, but yeah, I haven't seen it since, obviously. Wooly says it's definitely satire. Well, give me an example. What is it they say about trans people in GTA 5 that's satire? Starlord says maybe for future games, but if it's something that's already been made, they should just let it be like a timepiece. Right, but you're saying they should have some kind of messaging at the beginning. You're not sure it's different than the comedian thing. Well, it's only different than the comedian thing, like I said, in that, the comedian is someone who gets paid. Or if Rockstar comes in and says we want it changed, it is different, because it would be like the comedian changing his own thing. It's Rockstar's property. Okay. I wanted now as we get into the Halloween season. We're going to start having some spookier, scary shit going down. And in that, every episode, because it's the best goddamn holiday in the world, think about it. It's a holiday about supernatural shit, ghosts, monsters, gore. Come on now. How can you not love it? Well, look, we're going to talk about people who have died playing video games. And I'm going to tell you my favorites. I'm going to tell you the ones that are the oddest. Because a lot of you guys know the ones about people who sit too long in internet cafes and they get blood clots and all that stuff. And those are terrible. Those are terrible. But these are more interesting ways to go. Wooly Gamer, talking about Grand Theft Auto, says it's outrageous for the point of being outrageous. I understand. But it doesn't mean it's not mean. I mean, it can be satire if you want, but could I, if I made a video game where my guy was going around doing slurs for Pakistani people and black people and Jews, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm just being outrageous. I mean, if I'm funding the game, I have that right. No one can tell me I can't do it. But would you expect, is that it? I don't know. I'd be stunned if a company like 2K would be okay with that, or Rockstar or whatever. Okay, this is a story of, this is interesting. I'm just going to tell you I like it. I like the story. That is true, Mutant Mo. Let me tell you that real quick. Mutant Mo says, someone said in the chat once they raced against a ghost in a car game that was a dead friend. Well, I don't know about that, but there is a story that was on Kotaku way back in the day, which was actually quite a beautiful story about a guy who found his father's, might have been Forza, I don't know what game it was, but it was his father's ghost race that was still on the hard drive. And so he was able to go home and play the game and race against his dad. And his dad had obviously long since died. Or not long since died, but had died. Yeah, Mr. K, we'll do a call-in night for scary stories, absolutely. In the meantime, the phones are open if you want to call in on the Discord. Okay. I'm not even going to pronounce the name. This story is two guys are playing. They're two friends, and they get into a competition for a game called Legend of Mir 3. It's avatars in that game that use these giant broadswords. Swords, broad swords. Interesting, Jeffy. They won a rare dragon saber together, like a virtual one in the game. And one of the friends let the other friend use it first, but instead of using it in the game, he sold it for $870. It was a virtual item. And the friends got pissed at each other, and the one friend who didn't sell it ended up stabbing his friend in the chest with, quote, great force, and he died right there on the spot. That is the first weird death attributed to video games that I know. Listen to this one. Before Pokemon Go, Niantic Labs developed an addictive game called Ingress. Within the world, two different factions are fighting for freedom. Players have to go to different real-life locations to gain levels and become stronger. A teen in Brazil was an avid player. He loved going to play the game, and his mom warned him several times to be careful. Unfortunately, he didn't listen to the warnings. On his way to capturing a gray-colored portal for his faction, he crossed a busy street without looking both ways, and he was struck by a bus and killed. Think about that. That's our. We're getting into the Halloween season, folks. Hold on to your neighbors. Hold on to your fucking neighbors. EverQuest. Listen to this one. This one's sad. Fuck you, Hoodrich. Hoodrich says that wasn't weird. Was it weird? No. Was it creepy and sad? Yeah. I want you to think about a Hood. Think about that, Hood. Hood, imagine your last moment on Earth and you're just sitting there looking for a fucking Pokemon. It's like, oh, look, it's a fucking Pikachu. Boom. Like, do you even know it's over? Do you even know it's over? Hoodrich. Right? Come on now. EverQuest. It's a fantasy. We know what EverQuest is. You don't need to tell you. But there's a guy, Sean Woolley, had ADD, and epilepsy, and found comfort in the game. He became so addicted to the game that he neglected his family, quit his job. He moved back home. His mom noticed he had seizures after playing the game for an extended period. His mom tried to send him to a group home to get help, but he left. He purchased a gun and locked himself in his room. His mom broke the lock to see Sean had shot himself, and EverQuest was still running on his computer. Killed himself while playing EverQuest. Think about that. God damn. I saw a movie the other night called, that's interesting, Mutant Mo. You get zapped into the game forever in some sort of digital spiritual merging. Right. What if that was like an urban myth and all these kids were doing that in front of their computers to go live in the world of Minecraft or some such shit? That'd be horrible. Okay, so I was watching this documentary the other night real quick called Enter the Matrix, or Glitch in the Matrix. It's on Amazon. And, it's all about simulation theory, that we live in a simulation. It was interesting. But it ends with this one guy. Like, everybody they interview, you see. One guy is just, you hear his voice, Like, why am I only hearing this guy's voice? And he's obsessed with the Matrix. Always talking about the Matrix, quoting the Matrix. Seen it hundreds of times. Turns out he got a shotgun and dressed up like Neo and killed his family. That has nothing to do with anything except both stories have a shotgun in it, and it's kind of related to video games. But, let's move on, shall we? The next story that Hoodrich will deny, but I am telling you is creepy and weird, is this one, clocking in at number 10. Listen to this thing. Listen to this fucking story here. Well, this one's not weird. Well, this is a little disturbing. In Taiwan, gamers can rent almost any unlimited time in internet cafes. This one guy was a regular customer. His family was used to leaving for days to play. After playing a game for 3 days straight, an employee found him lying on a table. Usually responsive, he didn't wake up. He suffered a heart attack and died. Police checked the camera footage from the cafe, and they noticed that he was struggling with his chest and with chest pains before he collapsed and died. Other gamers in the internet cafe were all around him, and they continued to play as normal and just ignored him as he died right there on the keyboard, playing his World of Warcraft or Dota or whatever it was he was playing. Think about that. You're sitting there going, somebody help me. Somebody help me. Nobody was there. They were too busy playing their goddamn video games. Maybe China's right. Listen to this one. This is the first recorded video game death. This one is not spooky, but it is fucking weird and coincidental as fuck. When I was a kid, Berserk was out in the arcades. When JoJo D was a kid, Berserk was out in the arcades. It was the first game I recall, I think it predated Sinistar, that talked, right? So it would say things like, ha, 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 run, human, all this shit. Well, listen to this. Berserk is the first video game known to have a player die while playing it. In the early 80s, a young high school punk, I added that to make him sound cool, a young high school student named Jeff Daly entered an arcade in Illinois to play Berserk. He made the top 10 list twice within 15 minutes. After entering his name, he collapsed, dying of a heart attack. Okay, that's bad and tragic, but if that was the story, you'd be like, why are you reading me? It sucks. High school kid. It's weird he died of a heart attack, probably had a condition, but listen to this. Berserk would later take the life of Daly's best friend, Peter Brakowski. The game had been too much excitement for Brakowski too, I guess, who had scar tissue on his heart. Playing Berserk was too much strain. They both died. Two best friends died of playing the goddamn Berserk. Think about that. Last one I'm going to share with you is the strangest one, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, listen to this. Binge playing games for charity is a popular thing to do. It's a good thing to do, but Twitch streamer and father of three Brian Vignal often played for hours. This time he was playing World of Tanks for 24 hours straight. His friends noticed he didn't seem very well at the 22-hour mark, and he got up to take a cigarette break. His fans watching the stream noticed that he never came back, and they grew worried. He had collapsed outside his house and died of a heart attack. After hours of inactivity, a Twitch mod messaged Vingalt on the Discord to check on him. A Virginia Beach detective responded on Discord informing the moderator that he had died. That would be like watching Ninja. And he says, I got to go pee. And he gets up to go pee, and that's the last you ever see of him. And then like 2 hours later, oh yeah, he died, man. That guy died. Think about it. Happy Halloween. Let's move on. I want to talk about a game. It is not a video game, but this is interesting to me. Now, I know a lot of kids today don't really grow up watching game shows anymore. That's fine. Whatever. You got to do what you got to do. But you know, The Price is Right. Price is Right if you don't. It's about games, not a video game, so it's tuck in, bitches. I know it's not a video game. Just listen. It's interesting. It'd be good for you. So Price is Right was a show that was Bob Barker. Now I think it's Drew, whatever that guy's name is, Drew somebody. Basically it's about how, do you know what things cost? Here's a microwave oven from Zenith, whatever. What do you think it's worth? And somebody will say, it's $183. And if somebody guesses closer to the price, it's $140, whatever. Okay. So this show's been running forever. And there's a story, Drew Carey, there you go. Thank you, Eddie. Why are people getting worse at The Price is Right? They're getting worse at guessing prices. I thought this was interesting. I saw this headline come across my thing, and I said, well, I need to know the answer to that, because that's weird. Why would people keep getting worse at The Price is Right? You'd think they'd be getting better at it. They have more access to data and information, and yet they're not doing as well. Here's the 3 reasons this paper came up with why people are doing worse with The Price is Right. First, inflation in the U.S. was higher and much less stable in the 80s and 70s. When inflation's high and variable, people become more attentive to prices because they notice they're paying more for things than ever before. Interesting. So number 1 was inflation. Number 2, the rise of e-commerce may have made people less sensitive to the price. Research by the economist Alberto Cavallo of the Connecticut Cavallos finds that online competition has made prices more similar. Online competition has made prices more similar across sellers, online and off. As a result, people may feel less of a need to do price comparisons. That's interesting. The last one. Third, there are more products than ever. There are 50 times as many products at a grocery store now than 80 years ago, according to economist James Besson. Rather than compete on price, companies increasingly try to differentiate their products in other ways. This also might make it harder for the Price is Right contestants, along with the rest of us, to know how much stuff costs. So there you go. If you're ever going to go on the Price is Right, you should study up, because literally 1972 is when it started, and listen to this, in the 70s, the typical guess was 8% below the actual price. in 2010s into 2020, people underestimated the price of items on The Price is Right by more than 20%. More than 20%. Let's play The Price is Right real quick. I'm going to look something up off screen. The first person to tell me the price wins. I got no prizes today, but let's just see who can do it. Let me look up. Okay. All right, hang on. I'm going to give you. Yeah, but you have Google though. See, this isn't really fair. But fuck it. I'm gonna trust you guys. I'm gonna trust you guys to not go search this shit up. Okay. All right, here we go. This is. I want you to tell me the price of what I'm about to describe. Okay, you ready? Where's the price? Where's the price? Give me. Okay, here we go. This refrigerator, it has a curring case. Listen to me, because I'm not going to give you. You can't go over either. Yeah, it's $70. That's right. Drive by Joe. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Okay, now listen. Got to use the honor system. Thank you, Mutant Mode. Now listen. I'm going to take out the name of it so you can't Google it. But it's a refrigerator. Okay, so close your eyes and focus to what I'm saying. This refrigerator has a Keurig K-Cup brewing system. It got top marks for temperature maintenance and uniformity. It also wowed our appliance lab experts with its smart design features. Top-of-the-line fridge, plus a built-in Keurig coffee maker in the door. It's Wi-Fi enabled, so after you download the app, you can adjust settings, preheat water for coffee, get alerts if the door is open. It works with Amazon Echo as well. I'm going to show you a picture of it just so you guys can get a sense of sort of the quality of it real quick, but I'm going to make sure you don't see the price. 1 second. All right, let me open this up, open in a new link, new tab. All right, here we go. I think you should be able to see that now, right? So I will now look to the chat. I want to see the first person who gets close but doesn't go over. And I will welcome you, Sam, in just a moment. Thanks for being here, buddy. Spaz, no. Oh, my God. You guys are so bad at this. Spaz, no. 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 I'm going to give you 10 more guesses. Novodamus, no. Okay. Okay. No. Come on. Okay. I'll give you 3 more guesses. Right now, I see our winner. 3 more guesses. Are you guys doing a reverse image search, you fuckers? Don't you fucking do that. 10 more seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to 10 seconds for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. The winner, I almost gave it to JoJo D, but it goes to Zachy Howell. Series, this is the GE Profile Series French door refrigerator. It'll cost you $2,879. So there you go. I wouldn't have known what the fuck this thing cost. I would have guessed $5,000. I don't fucking know what a fridge costs. You know, that's ladies' work. Oh my God, Jeffy. I'm just kidding, of course. Okay. Let us move on. Price is Right. I want to talk about this really quickly. Marvel, and this only relates to games in as much as that people hit me up this week specifically because the Twisted Metal story broke about, oh, Jaffe, why aren't you involved in Twisted Metal, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of people that assume I own the rights to Twisted Metal. And I'm like, I always say, no, I was work for hire. I was an employee of Sony. They pay me really well. Insurance was great. I got wonderful bonuses. It was a great company to work with and for. But no, I was work for hire. I was an employee. And so as much as I would love to own Twisted Metal, and like I said to somebody online the other day, I feel emotionally I own Twisted Metal, and Scott and Kellen and the team that made it own it. Legally, none of us are walking around thinking, that we own it. So even if Twisted Metal or God of War goes on to become the next big movie sensation and PlayStation Productions becomes the new MCU and God of War and Twisted Metal happen to be their crown jewels, I would still love to own some of it, but I'm not going to basically go to court and be like, wah. Again, and I've been looking for this because I'm assuming that there's more to it than this. Like maybe there's, but this is Jack Kirby did it and it was kicked out of court twice. Steve Ditko's estate is doing it now, who created Spider-Man with Stan Lee and Doctor Strange. You've also got Stanley Lieber. No, not Stan Lieber. His brother. What was Stanley's brother's name? Lieber. Stan Lieber is Stan Lee, and his brother's name is Larry Lieber, who was a writer. He's also suing. And it's like, guys, unless, and I've read like 3 books about the history of Marvel, unless this is like, there's something that you were promised that the court isn't, or that we haven't seen come up in the complaints, it's like, why do you think you're owed anything? It would be nice, but again, maybe Stan Lee promised him something. I have no idea. Yes, Stan Lee's brother is Bruce Lee. Star says this is different, I think, since you worked under Sony to create something. Or did you go to Sony with the concept and they hired you? No, I worked for Sony when I created these concepts. Just like similarly here, like the history of Spider-Man, like, Spider-Man, my understanding is Kirby, believe it or not, was the first one to propose Spider-Man, right? So like Kirby and Joe Simon created Captain America outside of Marvel. So Marvel had to figure out how to get the rights to that character. But when they did Doctor Strange or Spider-Man or all that, that was done under the eye of, you are doing this for Marvel Comics, right? So no, I don't understand, unless there's data that hasn't come out or I just haven't seen, why these people would be suing. And a lot of and so Marvel's suing them back and saying, I don't know what the suit looks like, but it's basically, I think, trying to shut them up and say, you can't get our copyrights. Sorry. Which, unless there's new data that comes out, I think that makes total fucking sense. All right. We're getting into Halloween, folks. The last 2 things are Halloween-y, so fucking deal with it. I want to tell you, one thing has nothing to do with video games. The last 2 stories have nothing to do with video games, okay? So if you're only here for the game news, I love you. I want to have a baby with you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the great super chats and the great conversation. Thank you for the memberships, but we are going to get off video games for 2 stories before we wrap it up. It is the estate. That's right, Star. Probably just their family trying to get a bit more money. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, hey, wait, Sam Foote. You goddamn so-and-so Sam Foote of the Feety Feets. There's some pot. Take some dope in, sir. Take that dope. Take the dope, Sam. Samuel, thank you for joining the Diet Soda Soldiers, buddy. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your generosity. I appreciate your last name is Foot, and you've had to work with that your whole life. Wink. Send me foot pictures, and it's just a picture of you. It's like, what? I did it. Where's my reward? Sam Foote, thank you so much, buddy, for being here and being part of our band of Merry Fucksticks. I appreciate it, sir. Listen to me. Sam Foote, listen to me. Listen to me right now! Why do people get mad on streams? People ever get mad on streams? Listen to this fucking thing. Satan's Enigma. A 17th century letter written by a nun was finally using computers, was deciphered. And I want to tell you what it said. So this was a woman, a nun. I think she has a foot fetish. That's great, Sam. Why don't you let me do the comedy, sir? I'm kidding. Please don't let me do the comedy, sir. She was a 31-year-old nun back in, living in a convent, 1676. And she was given these fits of, lunacy. Going nuts, yelling, screaming every single night. One night, she has a particularly rough night, and she starts scrawling all this shit down on a piece of paper. This is what it looks like. If you're looking at your screen, if you're not, it's just this parchment filled with Greek letters and, what did they say? It was a blend of Greek, shorthand symbols from different languages, Greek, Latin, Runic, and Arabic. And so they ran it through a computer and figured out what it said. Fuck you, Sam Foote. They figured out what it said, and they couldn't translate a lot of it, but what they did translate, it says the following. It says, where did it go? It said, the message describes God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirits as dead weights. It says that the Holy Trinity are dead weights, and it goes on to say that God thinks he can free mortals, but that system works for no one. Perhaps now Styx, like the river Styx, is certain. That's it. That's all we know. That's all we know. I'm going to accidentally summon Beelzebub. Hey, fine with me. I don't really believe in any of that. But the devil's dumb. If the devil was actually real, I want you to think about that for a minute. If the devil were actually real, he wouldn't do what he does. He would be like, I'm not going to present man with demons and scary things because they know it's the devil. They'd be like, I'm going to present man with all this nice shit that preys on their weaknesses. But summoning Beelzebub or a Baphomet, wherever it's called. All right. Last thing, I saved the best for last. I'm going to take you sons of bitches through a ride. As you know, the Halloween Horror Nights has started at Universal. I can't go because it's too goddamn far away. And thus, we're going to go through it virtually. I would like to go through, let's go through just one tonight. We will go through, we can either go through the house, what's that fucking, Haunting of Bly Manor, or we can go through Texas Chainsaw Massacre House. There's the extra. Let's go through Texas Chainsaw today. Let's go through Texas Chainsaw today. Let's make it big. Now, if you're listening, I'll play the audio for you. It's not going to do much good for you, but you know. Here we go. We got it in 4K. Are we running it at 4K? I hope so. I hope we don't crash it. What's going on, man? You went to the Busch Gardens last year. Orlando's 1 or 2 hours away. Yeah, they have this in LA, and they have it in Orlando as well. Okay, here we go. Texas Chainsaw. Where's the audio, baby? Come on now. Boy, it's chugging for some reason. Okay. What? What's happening? Come on now. Maybe I need to drop.
Actually built the Sawyer family home, and it's the hitchhiker, and he's got some head cheese.
Okay, I'm gonna put it on 1080p. That's not working for us.
You been up to the slaughterhouse?
Heading up there now.
I used to work there.
Oh man, here we go.
I haven't seen this, so I don't know how it is or not. There's Leatherface.
There he is.
I wonder who this scares. Like, who is this scary for? It's cool. Oh, wow, he's fast. That's got to be an actor, because that just looks shitty otherwise. Someone's got to reinvent haunted houses. This is not good. That's kind of cool. Oh yeah, that's from the movie. That's a puppet though, or a mannequin? These all look so fake. They usually have actors. What the fuck? There's like 4 actors in this haunted house. Oh, and he's wearing a mask? Come on. Oh, this is stupid. They're wearing masks? I know they have to, but why not? If you can't write the mask into the story. This is horrible. Oh, God.
Oh, this is crazy cool.
The set design is great, though. I love the sets. I have seen better home haunts before.
The Exorcist house was absolutely phenomenal.
Okay,
The
let's...
Texas Chainsaw Massacre house was truly...
No, let's look at this one. Let's look at one more. This is the Haunting of Hill House.
I'm going.
Right, Joe, that's right. You can have surgeons with blood.
Alright, right from the get-go, this is weird.
Oh, shut up, Sam. You're really scared. Look, I love being scared. I would love to be scared. But it's just so cliche. It's like, get creative, do something really different. This looks nice, though. The work, the design is fantastic. Oh, Makami Manor? Yeah, Makami Manor. Oh, that's cool. Makami Manor used to be like about 4 exits off the freeway from where I live. This one's a little better. This one's better.
Alright, that's creepy.
Oh, I know, JB. That's a good point. Going if you're high, you're goddamn right. Oh. All right, this is pretty good. This is a better one. This would scare me in a good way. Not like terrified, but in a fun way. Oh, Lord, woman, take your mask off.
Oh, wow. Okay, she is up here.
I mean, I believe in masks, but design around it. You look like a moron. Is she getting fucked by that goose? Oh, I like being high with horror, man. That's the best. I gotta finish Midnight Mass, man. It's from the same director as this. See, that's good. You don't... Oh, she looked up. Right, Brian East, I agree. That's cool. All right, there we go. Oh, Pandora's Cabinet of Curiosities. Do we go through this? Real quick, let's see what it is. I love shit like this. We always wanted the Bartlett Jones offices to look like this. We started, but we weren't around long enough. Yeah, we got to do a Halloween special this month. We will. We always do, but... This one's just okay. This is kind of boring. All right, fuck it. It's hard to tell what's going on at this point. It's too close. All right. Anyway, let me tell you one more thing real quick, fellas. So I started talking to this lady, and I think she's going to come on the show for an interview this month, being October. Speaking of weird shit, do you know what she does? She writes serial killers in prison, and she collects the letters and the things that they send back to her. She's got letters from Charles Manson. She's got letters from the BTK killer. She's been doing this for about 6-7 years. I talked to her the other night. She's going to come on over Halloween. I know it's not game related. We have Brenda Romero, game designer of Empire of Sin, Train, Jagged Alliance, all kinds of great games. She's coming on the show this coming Friday, by the way. So hopefully you'll be in for that interview. But I want to bring this woman on with the connection to serial killers because I think it's great for the Halloween season, and I'm fascinated by it. I hope you will be too. All right, fellas, that's Gabbing and Games for Friday, October 1st. Happy Halloween season. I will be back but 2 or 3 times streaming this weekend. A lot of video games to play. Hot Wheels, the Halo beta, all the new Steam demos are out. I still want to get more Kenna gameplay time. So I probably will be smoking pot and playing some of the games tonight. So I'll send out a tweet as I want to do. But in the meantime, thank you, fellas. Thank you to the new members. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. And she's not gotten a letter from me yet, Sam Foote. No. And again, apologize to those who pay for ads. The ads will be on the game stream starting tomorrow, and they will be on the podcast version of this here chat. But I was not able to get them in as I was getting all the Halloween stuff together. So I will get them in on the next one. I hope you don't mind too much.